The only thing I don't care about speaking like this is that I don't offer a solution, and I am not that kind of person. I'm solution oriented, but I can tell you what it's like. My story began in 2009 at the end of an ugly divorce, running out of money and just scared to death of what would happen for me and my son. He was 14 at the time. I got a DUI and it was a felony. I went to jail for 6 months. When I came out of jail, I had absolutely nothing. I had shorts, the shirt I had on, and flip-flops, and that was it. None of my family lives here or anywhere close. And I had no way to get in contact with anybody anyway. I did learn in jail of a couple things that I could do for myself, and one was the winter warming shelter. So on a cold November day, I walked over there and had a safe place to sleep that night. From there, I just learned from word on the street of different programs that I could go to help me. It was definitely piecemeal, and the days were long and the nights were cold. I was able to find the Harbor Church. I know it's a controversial program. I am telling you that it saved my life. I was able to get breakfast and lunch, a shower, and do laundry eventually, once a week. That made me actually feel almost human at times. I'm not the kind of person to just sit around, so I volunteered, even though I was homeless as well. I volunteered in the kitchen, and I was there 5 days a week, at least 6 hours a day. Coming to find out that those hours were also good for me, and not only in making me feel valuable about myself and about what I was doing, but I was able to count them as community service to help pay off fines that I owed to court, which was a win-win for me. It gave me a safe place to go during the day. It gave me a time to be there. My work ethic is such that I loved working. I can't stand not working. And it just helped me all around. And I learned more and more about what other people were going through as homeless people. And from there, it was rough and tumble. I mean, it was walking everywhere. I haven't driven since 2009. And bus passes or riding the bus was a total luxury to me. If I needed to be somewhere, it meant walking. During this time, after the winter shelter, which I always said was, ha ha, funny, funny, April Fools, now you have nowhere to live, because that's the day they close it down. I slept in bushes. I slept in a lot of places, because whatever place you have when you're homeless and you're sleeping on the streets, you don't have for long. You know that you've got it tonight, you might not have it tomorrow. You might not even have it all night long. Especially if it's raining and you're trying to find a place that's out of the rain. Those are the ones that are most visible. You will get awakened by the police in the middle of the night and told to move. So you always have to have 2 or 3 in your back pocket. You walk the streets looking at everything as, would that be a good place to sleep? Every single little alcove you look at, and you remember them, you catalog them, you don't forget them. So a lot of it was on the streets. I was able to get into the Turning Point, our place shelter, and stayed there for a little while. I was able to get a job while I was there, and I ended up staying at the Hamilton Hotel and working in Oxnard out at Channel Islands Harbor. It was a summer job, so when that ended, everything ended. I went back and forth from, okay, now I have a little bit of a place to live and a job, and now that job's ending, and now I'm back on the streets. That happened a lot. And at that time, I knew that I could go back to the harbor, that it was my refuge, it was my place to go. And that's how it all started. The progression of it was, Turning Point, and then I went to probably 4 or 5 different sober livings in Oxnard. And I really do appreciate the fact that they had housing for me. It was paid for by General Relief, so I was getting GR for that and food stamps. The only part that I really didn't like was that I wasn't able to work. So to me it felt like, even though I have a roof over my head and a place to sleep, and I have food and clothing, I can't get ahead. This is all I can do. All I can do is just live here and go to meetings. And I wanted to work. And at one point when was that? It was 2013, I believe, when I'd had enough. I mean, in 2012 was the worst year of my life. 2013, yes it was. In June of 2013, I was able to get into the Salvation Army. It was the best program for me. I was there for 8 months. I was encouraged to do nothing but find a job, work a job, save money, stay sober, all that kind of stuff. We've got everything else covered. The rent was a proportion of whatever you make, so no matter how little you make or how much you make, you pay into the pot. So I didn't have to worry about, am I going to make rent, because whatever paycheck I brought home, a percentage, just flat percentage, went towards rent. And I knew that, and it made me feel good, it made me feel safe, it made me feel like I was earning my keep. And then I went to, when I left there, it was because I had a full-time job at that point, and House to Home was able to help me get into an apartment and work my full-time job. And I've been in an apartment or sober living since then. So. Well, minimum wage is, from what I understand, when the terms minimum wage and the wage was set, it was supposed to be the minimum wage that it takes to be able to afford to live in America. When I was making minimum wage, it was at $9 an hour, and it would get to a point where you're only making like $1,000 a month. For me to make $1,200 a month, I would lose my food stamps. So if I got a raise and it would make me get $200 more a month in my paycheck, not only would I lose part of that to Uncle Sam, which is fine, I believe in paying taxes, don't get me wrong, but I would lose some of that. The $200 was gone. I would lose it because I would lose my food stamp benefits, I'd lose my health care benefits, I would lose part of it to taxes. So if I would have to say to the employer, if you're going to give me a raise, it has to be a big raise, or don't give me a raise at all. Or it would be, please don't give me 4 more hours of work this week, you'll put me over the top and I will lose money on this. It's a fine teeter-totter line. I know there has to be a line somewhere, but when it's right at minimum wage, and you're still not making ends meet or surviving, it's horrendous. I mean, if you look at, I think it's 2,100 hours a year that a person works if they're working full-time, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year. So if you're making $10 an hour for 2,100 hours a year, you're only making $21,000. Now, HUD says that 30% of your money should go to housing. Well, 30% of 2,100 divided by 12 comes to about $525 a month for rent. Try to find that in Ventura. Minimum rent is you're lucky to get a place for $1,000, $1,100, $1,200 a month. So now you're looking at jamming people in, and now you're trusting your future in this place with somebody else who might be dropping the ball. I mean, it's just so precarious. You're always living on the edge, always. It's just month to month. Am I going to make another day, another month? And I mean, I understand that minimum wage, that it too is a teeter-totter. We can't afford to make you more because we'll go out of business, and I have experienced that as well. I mean, I'm not saying minimum wage put businesses out that I was working for. It's definitely poor management, but when I look at the ads on Craigslist for employment and it says, we're going to pay you minimum wage, we want you to work nights, weekends, holidays, we're not going to be there. We want you to, do all these jobs because we're not going to do them, and we're only going to pay you minimum wage. And you have to have, certification. You have to have at least a bachelor's degree. You have to have 3 years experience, and we're only going to pay you minimum wage. It's gotten to a point where I just shake my head and go, you've got to be kidding me. I never thought, I haven't worked for minimum wage since I was 17. I'm a college graduate in education. I taught. I got a good job and worked there for 15 years. I was corporate vice president of engineering. And then I was 10 years as a mom. And here, boom, I'm homeless. And I have nothing that I can do. I don't have recent job experience. It's just, it was overwhelming. It really was, to say I'm going to work for minimum wage when I haven't done that since I was 17, and now I'm 50, and a few more years. So it was very. I mean, the dignity just goes right out the window. You just feel like everywhere you go. I mean, I've noticed that I don't walk with my head up anymore. I walk with my head down, and you feel beat up every day. You feel less than every day. I mean, can I just go on? Okay, as a homeless person, your existence is illegal in the city of Ventura. You are trespassing wherever you go. You're a vagrant. The trespassing is hideous. I mean, you're trespassing if you're in a park. If you sleep in a park, then you're violating another law. Whereas anybody that owns a home can go lay on a blanket in a park and it's nothing. You search all day like a wild animal. Water is the hardest thing to find, believe it or not. If you notice that all the spigots, none of them have handles. You're not allowed in anywhere to get any water. So what are you going to do? I had a tool that I could turn on a spigot and fill up a water bottle and turn it off. I mean, it took me like 6 months to figure that one out. I knew where I could find water. I knew where I would go up to homes and just use their spigot. I mean, and now you're trespassing again. So anywhere you sleep, you're trespassing. It doesn't matter if you sleep in a bush. You're on somebody's property. There is no unclaimed property anymore. From what I can tell, people that don't have a place to live and that are living on the land used to be called pioneers. I don't think we are anymore. So or squatters' rights at least. I mean, there's absolutely nothing. You go through a series of violating laws all day long. It's just a matter of which one you're going to push too far and end up in jail. It happens all the time. Can I talk about my jail experience? I mean, when I was in jail, I was like, I don't want to leave. Here I'm safe. I've never been homeless before. I don't want to leave, So, I mean, when the time came up, they released me and I walk outside here at the beautiful government center and stand there, and I don't know whether to turn left, turn right. I don't know what to do. I have absolutely nothing left in this world. My condo's gone, my son's gone, my car's gone, all my furniture, all my personal belongings gone. I have no way to contact anybody. It was just a horrendous battle, and then you're trying to sleep at night and you can't. I mean, you're sleeping with one eye open and one ear the entire time. You're cold. There are many nights where I'd have to sleep for an hour, get up and walk for an hour. Sleep for an hour, get up and walk for an hour. Now, does that make you tired during the day? You might want to sleep in the sun in a park. Yeah, it does. It's just, I'm getting lost in my own thoughts because it was so overwhelming. I mean, this is reliving a nightmare of mine that went on and off for 3 years. It was horrible. Jail, yeah, that's what it was supposed to be about. So anyway, so here I am. I'm not in jail anymore. I'm living on the streets. I'm violating all these laws. And it gets to a point where now, okay, I'm on probation because of the DUI. And so I know that one of the terms of my probation is that I can't have alcohol. It was a DUI. So I remember that when I was in jail, I had a safe place to sleep. It was warm, I got food, I had clean clothes, I could take a shower. So it's pouring down rain, there's nowhere to go, and I say, well, I'm going to violate my probation. I get myself good and drunk, and I call up the police and tell them where I am, and I violate my probation, and whammo bammo, I've got 4 or 5 days in jail. Roof over my head, food, clothing, medical attention. And I did that many times, just looking for a safe place to go and sleep. And now I'm fighting that, trying to get a job too. I've got a criminal record. I got picked up for shoplifting. I was shoplifting food or clothing. And now I'm fighting all that. People do a background check on me, and there's public intoxication. There's shoplifting. There's a DUI. Things that never happened to me before. In the first 50 years of my life, there's no way anything like that would ever happen to me. So that's another thing. Yeah, you see somebody, you tell them to go get a job. Well, you can't. Number one, you're crawling out of the bushes. You're filthy dirty. Your clothes are filthy dirty. You don't have a phone. You don't have an address. You don't have a recent work history. You are going to crawl back in that bush after you work, if you even get hired, and try to show up in the same dirty clothes doing the same dirty job. Without a place to go at night that's safe, that you can sleep, you cannot get ahead, period. There's no way. I tried really hard. I was trying to do my DUI classes, get those done while I was in different sober livings, because I was on GR, it wouldn't cost me to do the DUI classes. I would show up to those classes with my backpack and my sleeping bag, just say, here's my home, throw it on the ground and show up to the class. I did what I could. It's so demoralizing. For the majority of my time, I was in downtown Ventura. Why? Because that's where the food is. That's where the other people are. That's become the safe community. I've lived here since 1998 as a homeowner, and I really can't say that I was aware of the issue at that time. But on a daily basis, I would have to wake up and say, am I going to walk to get services today, or am I going to eat? And those were my choices. I knew that I could get food 3 breakfasts a week and two breakfasts a week. Once the harbor closed, I could get breakfast on Saturday and Sunday and lunch on Monday, Wednesday, Friday at Family to Family. So on Monday through Friday is when all the services that are here to help the homeless are open. So in the middle of that, you'd have to try to get food or go without food. I was on probation, so once a month I had to check in with probation at the government center, and that's a 10-mile walk, round trip. So that's all I did that day, was walk from one end of town to the other, just to check in for 10 minutes with probation. That meant missing lunch on one end or the other. So now you're living off of food stamps for that day. Now if you take the $200 that you get a month in food stamps, which is now $195, that a single person gets in food stamps a month, and you divide that by 30 days a month, you get $6 to $7 a day to eat on. So any free meals you can get will definitely benefit. Now with $6 to $7 a day, remember you can't buy anything hot, you can't buy any fast food. All you can buy is, all you can basically buy is canned food or frozen food and eat that. Canned food requires a can opener. Believe it or not, a lot of people that are homeless don't have them. You don't eat any hot food. You do things like I did. You go in, you buy one yogurt, you get some protein powder or some bran, and you mix it all together and you eat it. I mean, you make a gruel and you eat it. You don't eat well. You can eat a lot of vegetables and fruits, but they don't keep you going. I mean, the protein is what's really hard to get, unless you do like canned tuna over and over and over. I mean, I know how to survive, but it's not any way to live. Recently, I was at the Camarillo Animal Shelter, and I'm walking around looking at all these, dogs in pens and cats in cages and birds and horses and snakes and everything, and all the people are saying, oh, these poor animals, look at them, they're in the cage. And I'm looking at them going, dude, you got it better than I did, homeless. You've got a safe place to sleep, you get food, you get water, you get medical attention. I'm like, and you get exercise during the day, I was just like, wow. It's like doggy jail, but again, jail was better than being on the streets. So, to me, it's just pitiful that stray animals get more care than a stray person. A person that's gone astray, a person that has fallen into a bad situation, a person who's had the bottom drop out from underneath them. It's not a life for sissies, that's for sure. It's tough.